People think rock bottom is when you go broke. But for me, rock bottom had a face, a trembling voice, a moment that still follows me like a shadow. It wasn't the day my bank account hit zero. It wasn't the day my landlord left a final notice on my door. It wasn't even the night I cried on the floor surrounded by bills. Rock bottom was the day my mother called me and said softly, "I'm not feeling well. I think I need to get checked." Her voice was shaky, like she didn't want me to worry, but I heard the fear she tried to hide, and I froze. I knew she needed help. I knew she needed someone to step up. I knew she needed me, but I didn't even have $40 to my name. That was the moment that didn't just break my finances. It broke me. Because there is a special kind of pain that only comes from not having enough money to take care of the people you love most.
My downfall didn't happen in one dramatic crash. It was a slow slide, one I could have stopped if I'd been honest with myself sooner. I ignored my budget. I swiped my card just to feel normal. I convinced myself that future me would figure everything out. I bought things I didn't need because I didn't want to feel left behind. Every decision was small. Every excuse felt harmless, but drops become oceans, and small mistakes become disasters. I wasn't living. I was pretending. Pretending I was okay. Pretending I was in control. Pretending my finances weren't falling apart right in front of me. A few days later, my mom called again. She never asks for anything. She's the type who says, "I'm fine," even when she's struggling. But that day, she wasn't fine. She whispered, "I'm feeling pressure in my chest. Maybe I should see a doctor." I could hear the fear in her voice, and she needed someone to be strong for her. She needed me. And in that moment, I realized the truth I had been running from. I couldn't help her, not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't have a single dollar to give. I couldn't even afford gas to drive over and check on her. So instead, I lied. "I'm a bit tight this week, Mom, but I'll help soon." She paused, a long, heavy pause. Then she said, "It's okay, sweetheart. Don't worry." But I heard it. The disappointment, the loneliness, the fear. When the call ended, I sat there staring at the wall, feeling like the worst version of myself. That was rock bottom. Not being broke, being helpless. That night, I didn't sleep. Every fear I'd ignored suddenly came crashing into me. What if she really was sick? What if something happened and I wasn't there? What kind of child was I if I couldn't even take her to the doctor? My financial mess wasn't just hurting me, it was hurting the person who spent her whole life protecting me. That realization cut deeper than any bank notification ever could. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about responsibility, about love, about the kind of person I wanted to become. For the first time in my life, I stopped running. I gathered every bill, every debt, every forgotten subscription, every overdue notice, and laid them out in front of me. My hands shook as I wrote down the numbers. It felt like confessing to myself, like admitting I had been the one sabotaging my life. When I finished, the list was long and ugly. But strangely, I felt relief. Because finally, the monster wasn't hiding in the dark anymore. I could see it. I could name it. And once you can name it, you can fight it. My comeback wasn't pretty. It wasn't fast. It wasn't easy. It wasn't exciting. I started budgeting every dollar, cut every unnecessary expense, packed cheap lunches, stopped going out, tracked every cent, said no to things I used to say yes to without thinking. People called me cheap. They rolled their eyes. They joked about my new financial obsession. But they didn't understand. I wasn't saving money. I was fighting for my dignity, for my future, for my family. I saved $20, then $50, then $100. Every dollar was a reminder that I was changing, growing, becoming the person my mom deserved. Months later, my mom called again. This time, her voice was weaker, but something was different. I had money, not a lot, but enough. I told her, "Don't worry, I'm coming to take you to the clinic." The silence on the phone said everything: relief, pride, love. And when I paid for her doctor visit, her medicine, and took her out for lunch afterward, it wasn't the amount that mattered. It was the fact that I was there, really there. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was finally becoming someone she could rely on. Rock bottom teaches lessons success never will. Humility, discipline, self-awareness, gratitude, responsibility. It forces you to examine who you really are when the comfort is gone. It strips you of excuses. It exposes your patterns. It shows you the cost of denial. And if you let it, it rebuilds you from the inside out. Rock bottom didn't destroy me. It refocused me. Rock bottom teaches lessons success never will. Humility, discipline, self-awareness, gratitude, responsibility. It forces you to examine who you really are when the comfort is gone. It strips you of excuses. It exposes your patterns. It shows you the cost of denial. And if you let it, it rebuilds you from the inside out. Rock bottom didn't destroy me. It refocused me. I wish I could tell you things changed overnight. They didn't. But one afternoon, something small happened. Something so simple it shouldn't have meant anything, except it meant everything. I was sitting on the floor of my old apartment, reviewing my expenses line by line. I had a notebook, a cheap pen, and a headache that wouldn't go away. But for the first time, instead of feeling ashamed, I felt curious. I asked myself, what if I'm not broken? What if my system is broken and I can rebuild it? That tiny thought cracked open a door inside me. I started tracking every dollar. At first, it was embarrassing, seeing how much I wasted, how reckless I had been. But the more I wrote things down, the more control I felt. For the first time in years, money wasn't this storm cloud following me everywhere. It was a tool, something I could restructure. Then one night, I added up all my progress. I had saved $127. It wasn't much. To someone else, it might even seem ridiculous. But when I saw that number, I cried. Not because it was big, but because it was proof. Proof that I could change. Proof that I wasn't stuck forever. Proof that I wasn't the broken one. The version of me I thought was failure was just a beginning. That 127 was the first time I felt hope again. The real transformation came months later. I was working 2 part-time jobs, one early morning, one late night, often sleeping just 5 hours. I was exhausted, but every day I was paying down debt, cutting unnecessary expenses, and building a new identity. Then, one evening, I got a call from a close friend. He said, "You've changed. I don't know what happened to you, but you're not the same person who fell apart last year." I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. I just sat there, letting those words settle into me. Because for the first time, someone else could see what I was building. Someone else could see the fight in me. That night, I made a promise to myself. I would never go back to who I was, not the scared version of me, not the hopeless version of me, not the broke, ashamed, or silent version of me. That promise lit a fire under everything I did. I learned new skills. I studied money like my life depended on it, because it did. I worked on my mindset, my habits, my self-worth. Slowly, opportunities started showing up. A freelance job that paid better than my regular shifts. A small business idea that actually worked. A chance to invest for the first time. Not because I was lucky, but because I had finally become the version of myself who could recognize opportunities instead of running from them. The person who hit rock bottom was gone. A new person was forming. Someone stronger, wiser, sharper. Someone free. Today, when I look back, I still feel emotional. Not because of the pain, but because of the transformation. If I hadn't hit rock bottom, I would never have changed. I would never have woken up. I would never have learned what I was truly capable of. And the biggest twist? Rock bottom didn't break me. It revealed me. It showed me how powerful clarity is, how decisions shape destiny, how dangerous comfort can be, and how far a human being can rise when they've had enough. People think rock bottom is the end, but it's not. It's the moment you stop pretending, the moment you stop lying to yourself, the moment you start rebuilding from truth instead of fear. Rock bottom is the place where the old you dies and the real you begins. And now, standing on the other side of it, I can tell you this with absolute honesty. Your lowest moment can become the foundation of your strongest future, if you decide it will. You're not meant to stay broken. You're meant to break the pattern. You're not meant to stay stuck. You're meant to rise. You're not meant to repeat your past. You're meant to rewrite your story. And if you're watching this right now, maybe this is your moment, your turning point, your awakening, your chance to stop surviving and start building the life you were always meant to live. A year later, my life looked nothing like before. I had savings, a small emergency fund, a method, a plan, a sense of control. But most importantly, I had grown into someone who would never again be unable to help the people I love. That confidence, that clarity, that strength didn't come from success. It came from the lowest moment of my life. If you're watching this and you feel like you're at your lowest, if your finances scare you, if you're ashamed, if you feel like you're disappointing people you love, I need you to hear this clearly. This is not the end. This is your turning point. Rock bottom is not your burial, it's your rebirth. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need to pay off all your debt tomorrow. You don't need to be perfect. You just need one thing, a decision. A decision to stop running, to face the truth, to take control, even if it hurts. Because if rock bottom taught me anything, it's this. You're stronger than the moment you're living. And one day, you'll look back and realize this was the moment that changed everything. If this story stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Hit subscribe, stay with this community, and let's rebuild our lives together. One brave decision at a time. Your comeback starts now, and you won't walk it alone.